What's excuse me. What's up, folks? It's your boy Bob Hollywood back with another exciting review. Today's video is going to be of this McFarlane Toys Warhammer 40,000. It is a Tyranid Genestealer. I believe I'm pronouncing that first word right. It's Genestealer. I have under wraps, but yeah, this is like a monster-looking figure. They're actually way more intelligent than they look. I mean, I looked it up. I knew nothing about it. I played Warhammer 40,000 on PS3 briefly. Didn't get far enough to see one of these. But yeah, this is a big old meaty boy. I bought this at the Maryland Toy Expo way back in May or June for 15 bucks. And it says old Genestealer, but there's another new one. On the left side of the packaging, you just see this futuristic alien looking thing. That is some man, that's some creepy looking stuff. But it says McFarlane Toys at the top and then Warhammer 40,000 at the bottom. On the right side of the packaging, we see an image of the figure itself. Again, at the top it says McFarlane Toys, and at the bottom, Tyranid Genestealer. At the bottom, a bunch of legalese, including a barcode. This is the first Warhammer figure I've ever bought. And in the back, we see that same image that was on the left, or similar image rather, and then a different picture of the figure again. And it just tells you again what he is, Tyranid Genestealer, where you can find McFarlane and all that jazz. Anyway, folks, enough of the yapping. I'm going to get to unwrapping. I'm going to bust him out of his plastic prison, BRB. And just like that, we're back. It took me a while to get him free. He had these little pieces, these things that make it hard to get, because if you're using the box cutter, you don't want to scratch the figure, and they're just hard to get. Technically, he comes with one accessory, that is this Warhammer 40,000 base. And again, this is my first Warhammer 40,000 40K figure that I've reviewed, so this is my first McFarlane base with that on there. And this is just a standard base. It comes with almost every McFarlane figure these days. Whoops. Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat. Did it come with Mortal Kombat? I think one came. I only have one Mortal Kombat figure, and that's Nightwolf. And I don't remember if he came with one. I don't remember seeing one that says Warhammer 40 or Mortal Kombat. But yeah, all of DC stuff, everything. Now, the reason why these two arms are here as if they're accessories is because if we look at their sides, you can tell which one is supposed to go where. The three-fingered arm is supposed to go at the top, the five-fingered arm at the bottom. And just before I did it, I just wanted to know, because the holes look very similar, I wanted to know if it would fit in. And it doesn't seem to want to. Actually, I think this guy's going to need some heat. In general, these little pegs are a little tight. If this goes in, I'm not going to apply heat. So, yeah, I think it will go in. Let's see if it's easy to get out. It's easy to get out. So I'm going to try again at the top. It does not want to go in that top. This one goes in the bottom. Maybe the bottom peg is just easier to get in and out. So let's see if I can get this arm. That top arm works for that top part. I'm just thinking that bottom peg's maybe a little bit more forgiving. But anyway, he's a big, massive thing. I'm guessing it's gendered. I don't remember that part of my research, but I want to say it is a he, it. It could be a it, it could be a he, it could be a she. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. So we'll just call it a it for now. Let's call it a them. Because it is smart. It's not a dog or something. If I didn't know a dog's gender, I would call it an it. But this thing is smart enough to infect species and become one of them and make them into him, rather. But yeah, this guy is brutal. I keep trying to stand his legs up, but he doesn't stand up, and his knees don't straighten out any better. He's always going to be some sort of hunch. But yeah, he kind of looks like Frieza with the little purple on his head and the pale color. And then you got like this, it looks like muscle, the color of muscle. If you look at like a diagram in a health book or science book, That's what the tissues look like for muscles. But it's just a darker red, and there's a lighter red, more crimson for the talons and fingernails and toenails, which are also talons in this case. Darker, even darker shade of red for the tongue. So the tongue is darker than this. And then throughout the body, you see like these little pink things where these bones are. That looks badass if I'm being honest. Lots of detail here. I might hit this with a brush. Might not. I wanted to army build these guys and make them a very terrifying presence, but I never bought them when they released. I had pre-ordered them from Big Bad Toy Store, but I was a brizoke when it happened, so I canceled my pre-order. And then, like I said, I got this guy at the Maryland Toy Expo for a very reasonable price of $15. I think they retailed for $20. So, yeah, you see there's a little lack of paint down here as opposed to up here. But it still overall looks good. The forearms, I can't wait to get to the functionality and the articulation. But he looks good. I wish he could stand up taller, but again, that's just not the design of the creature, so it makes sense. But yeah, that head, that is the stuff of nightmares, and that is why I'm bringing this to you in the month of October. This could have been done in the month of November, which is going to focus on video games, but I did it in October. This guy is awesome. Let's go over his articulation. Let's start at the head like we always do. That's where his head starts at. It rotates 360. It's on a ball peg, but it's not giving me much down, up or down, but it is giving me a ton of side to side. I wonder how easy, very easy to pop up. So the ball joint is actually at the base of the head. Okay, that may explain the lack of mobility, because there's plenty of room in this head. If they had just done that the other way, this head would be able to move more freely. Now, of course, it is still on a ball joint there. It's a double peg. It's just, I don't know. Maybe if they had just, I don't know. I feel like they could have engineered that a little bit better, but it does pop on and off. Well, it popped off pretty easily. Let's see how easy it is to get it back on. And it's back on, so there's no problem. Butterfly joints. Why did I say butterfly joints? T-pose. Let's do the top arms. It's probably best to just do them all. That's his T-pose. His human arms, the bottom arms go up even higher, but that's a solid T-pose no matter how you look at it. It's definitely more than at 90 degrees. Let's see, rotation, there is no butterfly. I mentioned the butterfly by accident. It rotates 360 at the shoulder, but you got to be careful of the other arms. Make sure nothing's in the way, but it does rotate 360. It's going to rotate 360 at the bicep as well. Actually, the word is biceps. It's biceps, even if you're talking about just one arm, because a bicep is two muscles. And yeah, just like the triceps is three little heads. And that's why it's called the triceps. And I only know that because I recently watched a video of improper noun plurals or whatever. So biceps is the arm, one arm. The two arms would be your bicepses. But it's also in the dictionary as bicep. And both arms have that same articulation, that biceps rotation. Double jointed elbow. But because of this like thickness of this armor, this exoskeleton, that's the best he's going to do on that arm. And down here, it's slightly worse, a little bit more than 90. And then he can rotate at the wrists. And McFarlane has those joints where it's a ball. So if you need it to be horizontal or vertical, you just have to finagle that little ball in there, and then it could be whatever you want. And again, it's going to do that with both hands. Next up is going to be an abs. The abs, he does have some articulation. There we go. As you can see, he's moving there. And he's not going to rotate there. He's going to barely do any more movement there, but he will also rotate at the waist. And that's where you get your rotation. You get your side to side. His legs, he can do He's in the Hall of Fame for the Nasty Hole Wars, and that looks sort of like a penis, but it's not a penis clearly. But you saw how he can do his splits. His legs can go that far forward, that far back, only comes out a little bit to the side. Double jointed knee, which is pretty good. No thigh cut. I mean, it rotates there, but come on now. We're just not gonna count that. And then he has his little ankle ball here, which gives him a great range of motion. It's just like that wrist. It'll do whatever you want it to do. And there is toe articulation. I love that if I were just looking at this figure like this, I'm like, oh, that's a dinosaur. And then as you go up, you're like, no, that ain't no dinosaur I ever seen before. So, yeah, maybe you want to get this and put this in your Jurassic Park collection and make them realize, oh, man, we really did do something we shouldn't have done this time. This would have been the most terrifying dinosaur in Jurassic Park. So, that is his articulation. And I'm going to see if he stands now that he has his arms on him. That's him standing upright. That's him haunched. Let me get him as upright as I can and see if he's probably gonna be top heavy. Yeah, very top heavy. He wants to fall back because this is dense. This little turtle shell is dense. Even if you just look at it, you're like, oh, that's it. I'm trying to get as close as I can. Oh, it's a new species of turtle, and then you realize that ain't no turtle. Like, even though the tail is very turtle-like. All right, so let's get his height. With him as tall as I can get him without falling back. Again, he is very top heavy. Looks like it's 7.5 for me. Let me raise my camera for you. I want to go with a strong 7.5. I can't really see if it's any higher or what 16ths it is. Let's bring in the tallest member of the review crew first, starting with the Roadblock. Maybe the Joes will be out in the jungle going up against something like that. And then Titus O'Neil. It's very rare that they are the short ones. So that already tells you this guy's going to be taller than everybody. You already knew that. He's a big boy. He's a proper 7-inch scale figure. So he kind of knew that. Let's bring in Lucio. Hopefully his skates are quick enough to get him away from him. And let's bring in, I was about to say Lando. Let's bring in Devin. And you see they both got some reds going on. This is a beautiful figure, though. This is a very beautiful figure. And let's bring in Killmonger. Hopefully Killmonger's armor protects him from this creature. And then there is, I want to say Lando for everything, Winston Zedmore. I think so far Killmonger might be the best equipped to handle this creature, even though I'm still not sure he'd be safe, because what if he just infiltrated Wakanda and didn't go after him directly? That mask has to come off at some point. There's John Jones. And then there is Lando. Finally got it out of my system. This is a beautiful figure, man. I don't regret not army building it just because, hey, money is money. But if I got my hands on another one for a decent price, I'd buy them. If I could at the moment. I'm not made out of money. So even at a decent price, sometimes you got to leave things on the shelf, you know. That's Andra. And that is Vixen. And they're both shorter than them. I left some stuff behind at Ollie's this weekend. And I'm like, I ran into another Elektra. The Daredevil Elektra. And I was like, not going to get it. And then maybe there was some other stuff, but like, it was worth it because I found something else later that I wanted that I wouldn't have been able to get necessarily at that price later down the line because it was older. But anyway, folks, that's this Tyranid Genestealer. I'm me, Bob Hollywood. This is Melodramatic Plastic. You are awesome. Action figures speak louder than words.